October 19th, 2025, the most visited museum in the world was robbed in broad daylight. How was it done? And better yet, who did it? This is the current event of the Louvre Robbery. My name is Olan Hulion and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are discussing the Louvre Robbery and the history of the Louvre. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my vlog channel at Olan Hulion Vlogs. Disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. I found all of this from public resources. Please do your own research. If I left anything out in this video, please let me know. And now let's get into it. The Louvre began as a fortress built by King Philip II around 1190 to protect Paris from potential invasions during the Crusades. Parts of the fortress, such as the moat and the foundation, can be seen in the museum still to this day. Under King Francis I, who reigned from 1515 to 1547, the fortress was transformed into a royal palace. Francis I was a great patron of the arts and even brought Leonardo da Vinci to France. And this is how the famous Mona Lisa ended up in the Louvre. The Louvre continued to evolve as a royal residence, especially underneath Henry IV and Louis XIII. By the 17th century, the court eventually moved to Versailles underneath Louis XIV. The Louvre was no longer the main royal palace. However, it began to be used by artists and intellectuals. During the French Revolution of 1789, the Louvre was transformed from a royal property to a museum. In 1793, the Louvre officially opened as Muséum Central des Arts de la République. I think that's what it's supposed to say. With about 537 pieces of art. Many of these pieces were taken from the royal collection, or it was confiscated by church property. Underneath Napoleon Bonaparte, the museum expanded rapidly. He looted pieces of art from across Europe during his campaigns. So you know, like Napoleon was just taking over everything? Yeah, while he was doing it, he was also stealing art. For a time there, it was even called Musée Napoleon, which I'm assuming it means Museum Napoleon. I don't know. Although many stolen pieces were returned after his fall, some remained in the collection. Over the 19th century, the museum continued to grow and reorganize its galleries. In the 1980s, President Francois Mitterrand launched the Grand Louvre project to modernize and expand the museum. In 1989, the now iconic glass pyramid designed by I.M. Pei was unveiled as the new main entrance, blending modern architecture with the classical surroundings. The museum continued to grow, and the latest thing that they added was the Islamic art department back in 2012. Today, the museum is one of the most visited museums in the world. It holds over 480,000 works, with about 35,000 on display. Its collection spans from prehistory to the 21st century, including pieces like the Mona Lisa, the Vans de Milo, the Winged Victory of Samothrace, and then masterpieces from ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, Islamic art, and so much more. Now, let's get into the robbery. October 19th. Around 9:30 a.m., the Louvre has been open for about 30 minutes at this point when police receive a call. And the call is from a witness reporting that something looks off at the Louvre. The witness goes on and tells that there are two men in motorcycle helmets riding on Yamaha T-Max scooters, while another two men are wearing yellow and orange vests sit inside a truck while lifting a platform. The police were immediately dispatched to the scene. At 9:34, after they secured the area with traffic cones, at least they were being safe. thieves deployed a lift and 2 men climbed the ladder to the second floor balcony. They were using an angle grinder, a handheld cutting and grinding power tool to break the window. 2 men wearing yellow vests, they climbed into the Apollo Gallery, one of the most ornate and decorative rooms in the Louvre. It houses the French crown jewels and many other treasures. When the thieves got inside, they smashed 2 display cases and they stole 9 pieces of Napoleon-era jewelry. This included tiaras, necklaces, earrings adorned with sapphires, emeralds, diamonds worn by the 19th century queens of France. At 9:37 a.m., the smashed display cases triggered the internal alarm. 5 museum staff members in the museum followed the security protocol and alerted authorities. At 9:38 a.m., with treasures in their hand, the thieves fled through a broken window, which is the window that they broke, and descended onto the ladder.
Ok, merci.
Les individus sont en scooter, ils vont quitter.
Tour guide Ryan L. Mandarin is about to lead a group through a long room when he hears what sounds like stomping on a window.
I had a group with me behind me, like I was back walking, yeah, and we heard like some white noises, like somebody stomping on a window, and I just like trying to figure out what happening when I saw the museum staff going to that noise, and then they did like turn around like real quick, and they start running and saying, get out, get out, get out, get out, evacuate, evacuate.
Museum staff shout out visitors to evacuate. He says a security officer manages to stop the thieves from setting fire to their truck, but they escape along the banks of Seine on 2 Yamaha T-Max scooters. So they were just zooming out of there. As multiple police units secured the area, they recovered 2 angle grinders, a blowtorch, a walkie-talkie, and a blanket, which the looters intended to burn. Also, what they found on the street was a damaged crown of Empress Eugene? I don't think I'm saying that right, but whatever. Wife of Napoleon III, which they probably dropped it while they were trying to get out of there. The crown featured 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds. Down the road, a yellow vest was found near Pont de Soleil, apparently dropped by one of the thieves. During the meantime, the world's most visited museum is able to safely evacuate 2,000 visitors.
We are just in the middle of the tour, and everyone, they're just going outside. It's the gift shop of the Louvre. We are under the glass pyramid, and we are just in the middle of the tour.
At 10:34 a.m., the France culture minister reveals the robbery on X. At 10:37, the Louvre announces the museum will be closed on Sunday for exceptional reasons. No shit. Between 12 and 12:30, the French Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, says the heist took only 7 minutes. The minister said thieves stole priceless jewelry with huge sentimental value in an operation that took just 7 minutes. Clearly, a team had been scouting the location. It was obviously a very experienced team that acted very, very quickly. At 12:50, the police start to gather evidence from the crime scene. French police inspect the abandoned truck by the thieves to enter the museum. At 1:26 p.m., theft appears to be conducted by extremely well-trained robbers, says the mayor. Adding to his statement, he says he couldn't recall the Louvre being the target of such a theft in more than a century. When the museum's most treasured painting by Leonardo da Vinci, the Mona Lisa, was stolen in 1911. At 6:40 p.m., Paris prosecutors says that security guards were threatened with angle grinders. He adds to his statement that investigators have not ruled out foreign interference as a possible line of inquiry into the theft, but we're keeping all leads open. women. 652, a full list of stolen jewels is released by the French ministry. The ministry says an investigation into aggravated theft by an organized gang and criminal conspiracy to commit a felony has been opened by the Brigade de Repression, the BRB, underneath the authority of the Paris Public Prosecutor's Office. I think that might be like the FBI of Paris, I'm not sure. So here is a full list of the items: a sapphire tiara, a sapphire necklace, and a single sapphire earring worn by Queen Marie Amelia and Queen Hortense. A matching emerald necklace and emerald ring worn by Marie Louise, which is Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife. Tiara and a large brooch that belonged to the Empress of Eugenie, and a brooch known as the Reliquary brooch. The thieves also took a crown that was made of gold, emeralds, and diamonds worn by the Empress Eugenie, but like I said earlier, they dropped it outside the museum as they were making their escape. It was recovered and it was also damaged. The items were worn by historical figures from the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. The diadem, a jeweled headpiece worn by royalty, features 24 Cillian sapphires and 1,083 diamonds that can be detached and worn as brooches. The origins of this set are unknown, although it is rumored and it is suggested it once belonged to Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake, baby. You know she never even said that. A wedding gift from Napoleon to his second wife, Marie Louise of Austria. In March of 1810, the ornate set was crafted by a jeweler, Francois Reginault Tata. That was all very wrong. Which includes 32 intricately cut emeralds and 1,138 diamonds. Damn, a girl loves a good diamond. Hell, I love a good diamond. After Napoleon's empire collapsed, Marie Louise bequeathed the original set, which also included a tiara, to a relative. And it was passed through generations of her descendants. In 1953, the set was sold to jeweler Von Cleef in Arpels, after which the emeralds of the tiara were sold and later replaced with turquoise stones by an American collector. The altered tiara is now part of the Smithsonian collection. Okay, so the necklace and earrings, however, were preserved in their original form and sold to the Louvre in 2004 for reported 3.7 million euros, which comes out to be about $4.3 million. Empress Eugenie, which was wife of Napoleon III, was the original owner of the diamonds encrusted brooch, which was crafted by Paul Alfred Babst in 1855 specifically for her. Eugenie was Empress of the French from 1853 to 1870, and she is considered one of the most fashionable women of her time. A reliquary brooch, oh my god, a reliquary brooch is a brooch that holds a sacred relic, a symbol of Eugenie's Catholic faith. It comprised of 94 diamonds. The brooch includes the 17th and 18th Mazarin diamonds, which were given to King Louis XIV by former Chief Minister Cardinal Mazarin in 1661. The silver, gold, and diamond brooch originally formed the buckle of a diamond belt. It had 4,000 diamonds were exhibited in the Universal Exhibition of 1855 before it was worn by Empress Eugenie. Eugenie is said to have worn this belt, crafted by Francois Kramer, during a visit by Queen Victoria to the Palace of Versailles in 1855, and again in June of 1856 for the baptism of Prince Imperial. Eugenie later decided to transform the belt into a brooch and had one of her own jewelers fashion it into a more elaborate standalone piece, adding a cascade diamond tassels. In 1887, the brooch was purchased by a jeweler named Emil Schiltersinger for New York socialite Caroline Astor at an auction for 42,200 French francs, which I don't know how much that is in American dollars, but the brooch remained in the Astor family for more than a century until the Louvre bought it in 2008, returning the brooch to France. The museum paid 6.72 euros, which is more than $10 million at the time. The pearl diem was made for Eugene by a jeweler, Alexander Gabriel Lemonnier, in 1853, and it contains 212 pearls and 1,998 diamonds. And like I said earlier, thieves attempted to steal the Empress Eugene's crown, but it was found outside the Louvre. But the ornate gold piece, which features 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds, it was apparently damaged during the heist. The total cost of these items are about $102 million, and y'all, if I had that type of money, baby, I would travel the world. I would have a couple TV shows and movies, maybe an album or two, and call it a freaking day. I would be unstoppable. The Louvre security has been underneath intense scrutiny since the heist, which is to be expected. Reports suggest that the area of the theft, as many as 1/3 of the rooms lacked functioning CCTV cameras. Hello? The heist exploited a weak point, of course it did, a construction site, and a lift truck parked outside, and a window bridge that gave the thieves direct access. Oh, I'm telling you, somebody that worked or used to work inside that museum had something to do with it. I feel it in my bones. In the Louvre's history, there has been other robberies. Like I said earlier, on August 21st, 1911, Vincenzo, I don't freaking know, Pagre, an Italian handyman, stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. Y'all, he hid overnight in a closet, disguised himself as a worker, and walked out with the painting the next morning. Pagre believed that the artwork belonged in Italy and it should be returned there. The painting was missing for more than 2 years, creating a media frenzy, and it made the painting famous. Another one was World War II. While it wasn't really a robbery inside the Louvre itself, during World War II, the Nazis were looting thousands of artworks across Europe. Before they could seize the Louvre's treasures, French curators evacuated much of the collection, hiding pieces like the Mona Lisa in a rural chateau, period. There's been some minor thefts, like here and there over the decades. There have been occasional small-scale thefts or attempted robberies, mostly targeting the less famous pieces of work that's in the Louvre, but they say that the security has been extremely tight since then. LOL. Anyways, so some of the theories is, since the items are unique, experts are saying that the thieves may dismantle the items, melt the metal, and recut the stones, and in return hiding the evidence, making the recovery of these items extremely hard. Some people think that since the crime was so quick and fast, that it had to be from a private collector who hired said thieves. But as of right now, no one has been arrested, and they really haven't released any leads either. I thought I would just mention this while I was here, but Europe has been having a major theft issue, period. There was a rumor going on TikTok for the longest time, like, yo, I thought this was so real until I made a simple Google search. It is not. But there was a rumor going around that the French government asked Americans not to fight pickpocketers during the Olympics. Paris is also the second highest pickpocketing incidents in Europe, with 251 per million visitors. While Americans weren't being told not to fight pickpocketers, Americans were told by the American embassy to be more vigilant and secure all belongings. A viral incident occurred in Italy, and it was on my For You page. I'm not sure if it was on y'all's, but this American woman, she was trying to check into her Airbnb when these two girls stole from her. The woman grabbed one of the girls by the hair, and while that little was screaming for the police, she literally straight up said, "I have 8 kids, you can't scare me."
You stole my purse with my passport in it. Police,
Oh, yeah.
Little girl, I have 8 kids. You're not getting to me.
Which honestly, slay. The woman was able to get her passport back because she put a air tag in her bag while she was hanging onto this little bit. While she was hanging onto this little girl, the girl swung her bag and it had like a hydro flask or like a steel water bottle inside of the bag. And whenever she swung, it hit her upside the head. The woman ended up having to get stitches because of it. But yo, I personally think that someone that worked there or used to work there was a part of the robbery. Because a regular tourist isn't going to know all the weak points of the Louvre or of the building. It just doesn't make sense that somebody that is a tourist or a visitor would just know how to get in there like that. It had to be somebody that knows what they're doing or they worked there, you know what I mean? People are also talking about a movie that was about the Louvre being robbed. During my research, I wasn't able to find the damn movie because the actual robbery or heist of the Louvre kept coming up. So it's like, I couldn't figure out the movie, but while I was researching this and like reading all these articles and looking at all these beautiful jewels, I kept thinking of that one movie with Anne Hathaway and Rihanna where they steal that precious like necklace at the Met Gala, and I just kept thinking about that while I was researching this. Do you think it was an inside job or do you think it was a skilled robber that did it? Let me know down below, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video, and please subscribe to my vlog channel at Olan Hulion Vlogs. I will see you soon. Bye!